First, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for our live webinar, A Single Source of Truth for Construction, Sage Intacct Integrated Solutions. If you have any questions as you go through today's presentation, please place them in the chat. We've set aside time at the end to answer any questions, so I'll get to all of those. We also are recording today's session, so we will be able to provide that and send that out after. My name is Kayla Hall. I'm the Intacct Practice Director here at CBIZ CompuData. I come from the construction industry. I was a senior financial analyst for many years at a general contractor, where we did the migration ourselves from a legacy Sage product known as Sage 300 to Sage Intacct. I was an admin user, so I learned a lot about the functionality and do's and don'ts of implementation and migrations, and have been a consultant in Intacct for about 6 years now, and very happy to be leading our practice here at CBIZ CompuData. Just a quick agenda overview for today's 45-minute webinar. First, we did the introduction, and this is the overview, so we're in that now. But then I'm going to go ahead and take you through a demo for each of the integrated software solutions, Sage Construction Management, which will help to automate estimating, bidding, project management, job costing, and then also handle accounting functions from the field. We'll also look at real-time data for seamless scheduling of resources in collaboration with our Sage Field Ops service field staff, excuse me. We'll also go through a few slides on HR and payroll tasks, how to efficiently ensure compliance and foster workforce development through Sage Intacct Payroll. And then we'll take a look at Intacct as well. Go to the next slide. So just a quick overview of CBIZ CompuData. We are a leading Sage Diamond partner with over 30 years experience migrating and implementing Sage solutions. We have a team of certified Sage Intacct consultants, construction consultants as well, that have the expertise, resources, and methodology and background needed to support you. So most of our consultants have been end users, sitting in your seat, and so we kind of know what that looks like. In addition, we are also a Sage strategic hosting partner, provider combining our Sage experience with Microsoft partner designations in both Azure infrastructure and modern work to create the most secure, reliable, and easy to use ERP cloud solutions. I'm going to go ahead and dive into our live demonstration. Again, this is going to be a high-level overview of the solutions that I just discussed. Let me share my screen. Share. Okay. So to start, we're looking at Sage Construction Management. So this is all of the pre-construction workflows needed for your operation team. There's a lot of functionality here. We have our contact management. So any type of leads or contacts that our sales teams are going out and getting access to, we would store them in here. So it acts as like our CRM. We've got a lot of different company information. If we've made changes to any of those contacts, it'll show up in this here. We can do a quick search of contacts, but the contact management is really just to help store all of that information. We've also got a quick cost database that shows you all of the different areas that we can drill into costs in the system, which we can go back to in just a little bit. I'd like to start with the leads though. So again, acting as our CRM, we can access a lot of our input data for different leads that we have. If we were to drill down into our leads, we've got a lot of access into the information. If we were going to invite this lead to bid on some or work that we have, if they have estimates, alerts, any type of alerts that we want to set up, statistics and reporting and analytics around this lead, drawings or specifications. If I drill into drawings, you'll be able to see all of the iterations of the drawings that we have. There's a couple different formats in which to view these drawings. We can look at the revision details. So if there's different revisions, then you can see, version 1, 2, 3, etc. You can also download these. So you can add them manually or import from Excel. If we're looking at these, we can also download these and have them emailed directly to us. So if we download all, it's going to email these attachments to us, or we can download look at the attachment directly here as well. So I go back to the drawings here and the attachments. So again, we can get these to email directly to us, or we can view these attachments here. We can also mark these up and create notes directly in the system. And then all correspondence is actually done through what's called Team Link. So there's a portal for our vendors and customers to interact with us in terms of, everything that we're doing with these leads. So if I go back to Farmington here, we've got our drawings, any specifications as well. We can store here, original specs we can download. We've also got the invitation to bid. So if we wanted to invite any vendors to bid for this specific lead, then we could go ahead and select, and then it'll send them the information, the details, the specifications, the drawings needed to get their bid started. Same with the estimate. So if we go back, we can go into estimates. If we're looking at the estimate here, you can see in this analysis, the different costs and then the markup for our sale for revenue. We would associate cost codes and resource types, which is another word for category or cost types. And we would outline the estimates here. If we were awarded this project, then that would go and the estimate would store on the project once that turns into a project. We've also got all of the details around the correspondence. We've got documentation, so overview photos, and then other additional information like QC and safety overview, checklists, and site hazard assessments. Under the general information, this is a quick overview of the lead as well, and then any linked files from the Team Link portal would be available here as well. Once we turn that into a bid, so if we go look at the bids here, once we are awarded, then that turns into a project. So if we navigate into our project list, we can see all of our projects here. Again, keep in mind, this is a demo environment. If we drill into the demo or to the project, we've got our photos of the project, all of the quick links from the bidding and pre-construction process. We can assign our project teams. We've got a project directory, project groups, any open items. Again, we can look at our contracts, our cost codes, prime contracts, allowance packages, CPRs, change orders, the prime invoices. So we can create invoices from the contracts directly in construction management. The WIP report, so estimated percent complete details. We've also got all of our purchasing and procurement details here. So you can see subcontracts, change orders, sub invoices. Again, this is all can be done through the portal as well. So your vendors can actually upload their own invoices through Sage Construction Management, and then that would integrate directly back into Intacct for payment. We've also got time and expense details. So if you wanted labor time cards, equipment time cards, we can just take a look at some of these real quick. This is an overview of all the labor that's currently been posted to this project. We have a couple ways on how we can add time cards. So we can either add them into a single employee time card. We can do employee weekly time card, add the crew time cards, meaning maybe the superintendent is putting time for the whole team that day. And then we can just view labor time card summaries. Same with equipment. So just like we have the labor time cards, we also can tag equipment. If we drill into the equipment, then we can actually look at, what the internal billable rate is, external billable rate, etc. And when we get to equipment here, I'll go ahead and show you that. So other miscellaneous expenses like per diem or any kind of costs that you need to allocate to the project. And then other reporting is available as well. Again, the correspondence that comes from the lead would also be available, including transmittals here, documentation, photos, daily logs, any kind of meeting notes, work orders for service side would also be available. You can also create schedules. So your schedules here and a schedule overview, giving access to all of this information for your project team. And then there's Gantt charts as well. So we'll look at some of the analytics and reports here at the end. If you also, this is again, very high level, kind of showing the functionality that's available. If you want a deep dive into any of the software that I'm going to show today, just, you can email us and we can schedule those. The vendor hub. So again, any type of subs that we're using or vendors that we're purchasing materials or equipment from, we can manage them here, certificates of insurance. You can see if it's expired, if there is any subcontracts, there's analytics within those as well. You can populate a procurement calendar, PO financial information, subcontract financial information. You can actually create bills from the PDF or image using OCR scanning directly in here. And you can also create miscellaneous expenses from the PDF as well. And that all integrates back to Intacct. Going back to equipment now. So if we were to look at the equipment, again, like I mentioned, we have, runtime, idle time, downtime statistics for cost, burden cost rate, total cost rate, proposal bill rate. So if you wanted to mark that up, that way you can allocate equipment costs to the project as well as see what kind of revenue you have associated with that equipment. If the equipment time cards are going to be required, if there's a daily rate, weekly rate, monthly rate, a lot of times with equipment, you want to, leave it on the job site and then just bill them monthly rather than on a daily or time card per instance. So you'll have location specifics, project specifics, any type of classifications to be incorporated with this equipment. If you did have any amortization or depreciation schedules, you could associate that for purchase and sold details, any type of spare parts or service and repair history. Service and repair history gives us the ability to track maintenance costs and make sure that, those are we're getting covered on the cost allocation to projects. Equipment time entries, you can do an overview of this week, previous week, this month, previous month, etc. And then any linked files would also be available here for download purposes, or you can email those out as well. And then HR, so if we're doing labor time cards, we can look at time card and expense statistics. So for expense report reimbursement, payroll statistics here, if it's overtime, straight time, double time, to ensure that this matches with what we're paying them. You can do a labor hours overview, equipment hours overview, again, the miscellaneous expenses for expense report purposes. Email, so again, that team link portal that we have for vendors and customers, they can email correspondence and that will come directly into SCM. So you can process emails here. And then we can look at some of the reports. So there are a couple different categories for reports. So again, project specific reports. If we want to look at allowance, there's a couple here. If we want to look at anticipated costs, there's a few here, as well as custom reports that we can develop. Bills, so you can see there's quite a bit of bills, which are either grouped by contract and change order, or just prime contract by supplier, with payment information, etc. Payment information would come from Intacct, of course. Checklists, if you are you using checklists and wanting to look at the deliverables by project or by responsible contact, and then company notices. If we go into the lead specific reports, again, we've got checklists, we've got drawing reports, we can group it by discipline, by release date. We've got invitation to bid reports, journals, so any type of notes or activity on the leads or projects, we can look at that information as well through reporting. And then there's a lead directory if we wanted to just pull all of those. And we can filter these, by the way, by project or lead. And then we have general reports as well. Under companies, you got active company bidders, product directory with insurance. We've got employee specific, so you can pull employee hour detail, leads, again, all of the lead reports, and then project reports as well. In addition to those standard reports, we've got our analytics. And so this kind of shows you the different graphics, which as we have migrated through each of the modules within SCM, you've seen that there's charts within each one, visuals to kind of understand where we are, which we can drill down into. But this gives us additional access to, summary dashboards, analytical reports that we can visualize, by revenue. So there's a couple of revenue reports there by cost, vendor, labor, equipment. So ERP job to date costs. So if the cost didn't get entered in SCM and there's costs associated in Intacct, then we would pull these ERP job to date cost reports. And that would include all of the job cost report or all of the job costs, whether it was entered in SCM or Intacct. Any custom reports, which we don't have any here. And then if we want to export data. The accounting link. So this is part of your implementation. We'll go through your accounting link and do an overview of how everything integrates. So we'll kind of design your work breakdown structure and how it's posting to the GL, how we're posting the dimensions that are available in Intacct, but not necessarily available in SCM. But that's really a quick overview of Sage Construction Management. So again, pre-bidding, project management really creates a lot of efficiency, being able to correspond using portals. There is a web application for your phone as well. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Now we're going to be looking at Sage Field Operations. So again, this is for the service team, being able to maintain work orders and scheduling resources for all of the volume that you have for work orders. So again, we've got our dashboard, which has visuals. Again, you can drill down into this. We've got our most recent open work orders list here. So we can take a look at this and we can filter it by problem code, center, employee, call type. There's also billing assistant, so you can see, okay, here's the work order. If there wasn't a customer PO, maybe these need to be invoiced. We can generate invoices directly from Sage Field Ops, and that will integrate directly into Intacct. So the dispatching tool here is really where a lot of the value is. So you can go into your scheduler, you can have a list of all of your work orders, and you can drag and drop them for the different resources that you have. You can also filter for different team members. So if you have different, verticals like plumbing and electrical, mechanical, then you can filter those out. You drag and drop the work orders into their schedule. You can update the times by clicking on this, and go to the assignments, and then put in the details here. So if we need 2 hours, maybe we need 4 hours. We can really update that and put in description, assignment notes, any dependencies as well. If they need a break, if there's a lunch, their start date, all of that would be here. And you can look at this view on a daily basis, weekly basis, next 2 weeks for like the pay period, the monthly basis, or an alternative day. We can also look at the priority view. So there's a couple different options here. You can add work orders directly from here. You can add a dispatch group. You can add an assignment. You can roll assignments together. So all from this dispatcher here. And then in the map, within each work order, we are putting a location, so we can actually see where those work orders are going to be done. If we're in a specific area, then we can see, where all of our resources are going to be for that day. So you can track where they're going to be. So if you get a call and it's an emergency, you can see who's in that vicinity who can help fastest. Assignments, so this is where you're going to be managing all of your assignments. This is my personal view. So as you saw, we allocated assignments and work orders to me personally. So now I can view these, I can make changes, I can add notes, items, parts that I use, any type of purchase orders. I can notify the site that, if I'm running late, it will send the contact information, it'll send the contact here, Trammell Crow, update. Any quotes. So if I'm doing any type of quoting before turning that into a work order, then I can manage those here and then turn those in as well. There's a couple of reports out of the box: work order report, work in progress, work order report. And then this would give us the ability to download the report, run the specific date. We can look at low profit work orders. You can create different views based off of what you want to see here. And then there's also back office information. So you have your different locations that you're operating, entering a work order, moving those work orders into an invoice, any type of miscellaneous items that don't correspond as a work order, but maybe you need to get reimbursed for, purchase orders, accounting. So how we're going to be posting these to the general ledger, equipment classes, equipment types, tracking manager, manufacturers, parts manager, agreement types, and price list. So we have all of that. We can set all of that up here. And then under admin, we also have the ability to say, okay, these are the specific templates, placeholders, settings, groups, users who have access to the user roles, as well as, we set up forms. So under the tools here, and then we also have jobs, so we can look at the jobs. This integrates with Intacct. The work orders also come over. So if you do purchase Sage Field Ops, you actually get an additional dimension in Intacct called the work order dimension. So you don't necessarily have to incorporate a job with each work order, but those work orders will come over for reporting and analytics in Intacct as well. Here are actual jobs that are created, which we can drill into and get some information. We can see some field reports here, request for information. If there was any RFIs, any work orders that were incorporated with this job, you'd see here as well, attachments, reports. So pretty high level information on the job here. Again, if you did manage different types of inventory, parts, time cards, we can create custom forms. So if you need, someone to sign off on something in the field, then we can create draft forms, like a job checklist here. And again, we would include the properties, what type of data collection we need, and what type of component you want to add to this form, report view, what it looks like in a report, any type of logic, if, when, then, etc., notifications that we need to incorporate, and then any entries that are going to come from this form. So you can actually create a form that puts in, you put the data in, and it will actually create your work order for you if we want to post that. So we can develop forms directly in here. Attachments, so anything that we attach to work orders, we can look in a repository in Sage Field Ops under attachments. Any type of canned responses, so if someone reaches out, we can automatically respond. Invoice template manager, so again, if we have a specific sales invoice template or work order template for a specific customer, then we can accommodate that. company equipment, so our equipment fleet, time review, and then employee center. So if we wanted to manage our employees here. This is where we'd also set up our different call types, problem codes for work orders, markup, rate sheets, customer information, payroll information, pay ID, pay type, and products. So quick overview of Sage Field Ops for managing the service work that you have. Again, it's pretty high level overview for now. I'm going to go ahead and show Intacct. So we have a quick dashboard that kind of shows you how that information from the field will translate into Intacct. So again, it would bring over our project estimates, our project contracts, any change orders that update both the estimate and the contract, job costs. So again, that would come directly from any AP procurement purchases or expenses, any commitments, right? Purchase orders that haven't been converted to an AP bill yet, those will all come into Intacct for visibility as well. And that way we can look at our percent complete, our over under billings for the period, our expected revenue or revenue recognized versus actual revenue. We can make all of those decisions, whether to, post our over under billings or if we need to invoice more, et cetera. We'll have you overview of that. And again, we've got our financial reports. We've got some charts directly in Intacct for that information. We've got interactive customer reports. So anything that you can do in Excel, again, pivot tables, Excel-like formulas, we can recreate using ICRW. So those are all available. We can also slice and dice by project manager, for a specific project using dimension groups. So again, we could do it by customer groups, project groups, location groups. Maybe we want to look at single family homes versus commercial homes, right? Or commercial jobs. So we have the ability to kind of slice and dice data in a different way. And again, anything that you see in blue here, we can drill down into. So again, job cost, we can take it, it'll take us to this GL report. We can continue to drill down and it will take us to that timesheet. And so we can see the time entries directly in Intacct as well. So here's the individuals. And the same goes for job costs coming from AP. It would take us directly to that AP bill. So there's a lot of ways that we can slice and dice data a different way and have visibility into the job cost that's getting incurred. A couple other just quick views of financial reports that are available out of Intacct. So we can, again, slice and dice data in a lot of different ways. I like to show this one because it's the P&L. So we've got our GL accounts on the left, and then across the columns, we've got different projects. Again, we can categorize these and group these into project types or different types of groupings if we don't want to allocate all of our jobs. And then every time we run a financial report, there's always a consolidated column at the end to take a look at the consolidated view. So all jobs together. So we can see our gross profit for all of the jobs is about 22%. We can see that some of them have performed a little better than others. And then we also have the project overview, which again was on my dashboard. But this just shows you how we can create those WIP reports for over under billings. Intacct is actually in a beta right now for posting over under billings automatically from the WIP report. So if you're interested in seeing that, then just let me know. But again, we can either drill down into the project directly from this report and change any attributes. So maybe we change the project manager for some reason or the location. If you have edit permissions, then you can edit it, make the change, refresh the report, and see those in real time. Again, we can go into the total job cost or contract, and it takes us to that information. So trying to find a bill. Here's a bill. So if we drill into this, it'll take us to that AP bill. Now we can see all of the attributes and entry information, the header detail. You can look at the posting details. You can look at the history. So if it came from a purchase order or if there was a payment applied to it, you'll be able to see that. You can also look at the audit trail. So you can see, okay, Kayla actually created this on May 31st, 2023. So almost exactly a year ago. But you will also see any modifications or changes to this transaction. So everything is in, there's just a lot of transparency in Intacct. And again, the general ledger report that comes from drilling down from the dashboard, we can modify. So right now I have job, cost code, cost type, department. If I went to customize, I could come in here and I could change what dimensions I want to see. So maybe I want to see the item and employee ID and vendor ID. And each time now, and if I need to change any of the formatting, maybe summary level rather than detail, then each time I go to drill down in the dashboard, it'll remember that criteria and it will take those dimensions that pertain specifically to me and what I want to see and insert those into this. We can also export to Excel, CSV, all of reports out of Intacct we can export to Excel, and using the interactive custom report, we can also create Excel-like formulas and Excel-like reports directly in the system. So you're not manipulating anything outside the system. We want to try to keep it in the system. Again, one single source of truth is kind of the goal here. All right, now moving on to ADP. So again, Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP is our recommendation for payroll because of the tight integration it has with Sage Intacct. So this kind of just shows you an overview of what that integration looks like. So we have a general ledger data push of journal entries from ADP Workforce Now into the Sage Intacct general ledger. We've got an employee data push. So all of the employee setup would be in your payroll system, but it would sync automatically into Intacct. Any expense reimbursements, those would show up in Intacct as well, under Sage Intacct Time and Expense. Any inbound or outbound time, so meaning the timesheets that we enter in Workforce Now can actually be integrated into Intacct, or if we want to enter the timesheets directly in Intacct, we can actually push those to ADP. So again, a bi-directional timesheet push for that. There's also dimension sync, so all of your projects, your cost codes, your cost types, your departments, your locations or entities, those are all available in that integration, in addition to other dimensions. So, ADP and Sage has had a long-term relationship for many years, so they have the strongest integration because they've kind of worked through every scenario. This is also other offerings that ADP has, so not just payroll. They also do, HRM, HCM services. So they do applicant tracking and employee onboarding, HRIS, payroll, obviously, benefits administration, ERP integration. They have learning management systems, data analytics and reporting, time and labor management, performance and compensation management. So just a few other things that ADP has to offer. And then this is a quick overview. I have a couple examples of the workflow that we can instill within Sage Intacct and ADP. So Sage being our finance and ERP operation, we can take time and attendance from ADP or third-party time tracking and push those into ADP and then have that integrate directly into Intacct, which would show for job cost and general ledger details. So within this integration and workflow, we can actually have ADP also manage prevailing wage, fringe, union rates, and benefits, final payroll and taxation results, any accruals, and reporting. We can also bring, if time and attendance is getting originated in ADP, we can send that time over to Intacct and actually on an accrual basis, allocate labor to the projects as soon as those timesheets come over. So some clients are doing daily timesheets, weekly timesheets, even if they're processing payroll on a biweekly basis. That way you get job costs in real time or sooner than having to wait for payroll to process and then for the GL file to come in from payroll. And you can also create additional postings from that using what's called transaction rules to get like fringe and burden rates, or overhead accruals as well. So there's a couple different options there. And then there's also the HR component for new hires. This is a workflow with ADP or other time providers. So if you're using project management systems like SCM or Procore or HH2 or BuildOps, then those time card rules and pay accrual policies can get, we can import those directly into ADP or use an integration. We can get those project details and time details into ADP for the final union rate and fringe determination, final rates for payroll, and then process payroll and the tax details, and then get the certified payroll reports and job costing details directly out of ADP. Another scenario is workflow with just the third-party time providers. So not using the Workforce Now component of ADP, just using a third party for time capture, and then importing the concatenation of the different labor fields into the cost number format. So basically not using time cards at all in ADP, but uploading those into ADP using the associated cost numbers for your GL posting, and then processing payroll out of ADP, and then you'd have the job cost based off the cost numbers provided. And then this is the workflow with what's called ADP Essential Time. So just using the Intacct as the project, where you're associating the project details, sending it to ADP for time card rules, pay and accrual policies, So I believe this ADP essential time is you just need the job costing data to flow through payroll onto the GL and then back into Intacct. So you wouldn't use the time cards in Intacct at all. You would just have job costs come through the GL integration directly from ADP. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Go pull up here. So why Sage Intacct Construction? We can control cost and increase visibility. We have native cloud technology and open API to create integrations if they're not already created. All of the solutions I presented today are already integrated to Sage Intacct, so they've pre-built that integration through the open API. There's flexible job hierarchy, work breakdown structure. There's, again, out-of-the-box integration with SCM, SFO, ADP, and Intacct. Real-time reporting on project performance. So depending where you're looking at originating the reports, there's a lot of options there, whether you're pulling them directly from Intacct, if you're the finance team, or if you're in the field and you need a report out of Sage Field Ops or SCM or ADP, then we have all those options. We can allocate payroll costs to appropriate project dimensions. It's very easy to customize. And it's a single source of truth. So all of the systems are talking to each other, and it makes it really easy for your field staff and your finance staff to understand kind of where everyone's at, because there's no manual processes in between. All right. Any questions or comments? I see just a few. So the first question is, can we send out emails to all bidders in Sage Construction Management, and will Sage Construction Management show what was delivered? So yes, with that team link portal, we can correspond all within the system, so you don't have to actually go out to your Outlook and send emails manually. It's all done within the system, and then there is a delivery log to look at, whether they opened that email or if it was successful. So that's all available in Sage Field Ops as well, and in Intacct. So everything is using just the functionality within the system. You can email directly from the system to gather those details, those documents, attachments, information, etc. Another question here. Is there a mobile web app? There is for both Sage Field Ops and for Sage Construction Management. So for Sage Field Ops, the mobile app includes work order management, time and expense tracking, project management processes, equipment management, field data collection, and then customer management as well. Both applications, I believe, today work offline. So if you're working on a project site that's in a rural area, doesn't have a good cell phone connection, you can still process the data and save it. And then once you get connection, post it, and it will be available within the software. So great questions. There's no other questions. I think we can go to the next slide. So here's what some of our customers are saying, feedback on CBIZ CompuData and Sage Intacct implementations. You can see more using the link below in G2. So we've got quite a bit of great reviews. We've also got references if you'd like those. We can provide those as well. And then additional resources, so we have a case study, GTM builders who came from NetSuite. So please take a look at that if you want, to have that as a reference. And then we also have a great blog, single source of truth for construction, which really triggered this webinar. So if you'd like to look at that blog and see a little bit more details around the options or the software that we kind of went through today, feel free to look at that. And if you have any questions or need to see anything in more detail, please just let us know. You can email the email here or call us, access our website. We'd be happy to serve you in any ways. So thank you again for joining today's webinar. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Sage Intacct Construction or any of the software, please, and get a personalized demo, please email us at inquire@compudata.com.